Black women need to stop going on TV shows looking for love. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones, and I have a controversial opinion. But I've been, I don't necessarily watch TV a whole lot, but I've seen like some clips of some controversial shows making their rounds. And they're all, shows that stem around dating. You will have to excuse my hair. It's Sunday and I've been cleaning and working up a sweat, so I look like I've been through it. Anyhow, one of the things that I've noticed on all of these dating shows is that when it comes to black women, regardless of if they have other races up there or not, when it comes to black women, we're typically made to be a spectacle, and we are least likely to find love on a show, even when we're matched with a partner within our own race. They seem to, dating experts, whatever the case may be, and even some of these YouTube shows I've seen, where you're lined up and you're having to pick a partner or whatever. One of the things, again, black women are made to be a spectacle, and what I mean by that is they like to, I think, shows like to stem around us for the purposes of making content and not necessarily for the purpose of the show. And so a lot of times what they will have, what I've noticed, and again, I can't say that I'm a regular, but from what I've seen, a lot of times from what I've seen, they'll have people that are physically aggressive. They will have people that are narcissistic, that are cold, and that are psychologically abusive to women. I've seen a show where women were, where they're, trying to see if we're a match, and the man that, is asking them questions, they're like clenching their fist. They're getting verbally aggressive and hostile. They're trying to berate women. And then the one thing that I noticed is that if that man doesn't match up, they'll bring him back again. And I'm like, what are these shows thinking? What is this really about, love, or is this really mostly about just getting views for content? Like, are you even doing background checks on people at this point? Like, what is this about that you have these people that have some seriously concerning behaviors on the show and that are actually doing harm to women? And that's just what we see. There have been dating shows where you don't get to see what happens after the show is over, and people get seriously hurt or killed. And so I think that is a warning and a disclaimer that we need to stay off the shows, because they may be using us for content, but they're not considering our welfare. They're not necessarily wanting us to find love, and the odds are not in our favor on television. And so we're made to be a spectacle, made to be a mockery. And I think that perpetrates the narrative that, black women aren't lovable. They're undesirable. And, it's something about them that makes men just sort of lose their shit, and see, they're not deserving of love. And that is not okay with me. So this is more of a PSA, and I don't know if other people agree with me or not. But it's just something that I've noticed, and I feel like that narrative needs to stop. It needs to stop from Tyler Perry movies, to Tubi movies. All of that kind of stuff needs to stop, because it is causing serious harm to our community. And, even shows where, hosts are black or whatnot, it's crazy that you would allow this narrative to continue to develop, and you would want this kind of image for black women and black people put out there. And I think the other thing, it's also not just black women, but I think it portrays black men in a negative light also, as being aggressive, physical aggressive, hostile, cold, undemanding, not attractive to women of their own culture. Which, if you're not attracted to black women, that's fine, that's your business, but it doesn't need to be made a spectacle. It doesn't need to be given like that kind of negative bias, and that rhetoric it doesn't need to be given a platform, and I can't stress this enough. One of the other things that I've also noticed that are concerning on these shows is that black women stay, when they are, I've seen shows where, there's been one black woman and like all these men are lined up, to date her. And then I've seen the other, like, more mainstream shows, and one of the things that I will say is that if the man that you're talking to gets aggressive with you, gets hostile, is angry, starts labeling you or calling you out of your name, and other men are there, other people are there, other men are there, other people are there, you need to pack up your stuff and you need to walk out that door, because that means whoever may be lined up to date you, they don't think enough of you to protect you. And that includes like the host or the production team behind that. That means that they don't think enough of you to protect you. And that whole thing needs to be canceled right from there. That's just my thoughts on it. And I also think, if you're coupled up and you guys as a couple are watching, like other couples, like some of the more mainstream shows where there's couples and things like that, if the couples are sitting around watching it and no one steps in and intervenes, including the man that you're with, I think that sends a message to everybody there that they don't, that people will sit by and watch you be harmed psychologically, allow you to be torn down and not intervene and say enough's enough. This is no longer about the camera. This is no longer about views. This is no longer about ratings. Someone's getting hurt, and as a man, as a woman, I'm not going to stand by and allow this to happen. That cannot continue to go on, because again, there have been incidences where, that person that is aggressive, that person that's hostile, things may continue. They may continue that behavior. There's things that go on behind the scenes that you don't even get to see. And that's for that. But more, mainstream, black women are unlovable, we're desperate, this and that. I think we need to stop supporting or showing up. I think supporting all around, from watching it to being a guest on it to, whatever. I think it just needs to stop. It is doing so much harm to the black community, black women in particular. I would urge you, stop doing it and stop supporting it.